Armsad Eesti inimesed ja kallid Eesti sõbrad. Honorary Consul of the Republic of Estonia, Jaak Treimann, President of the Estonian Society of Los Angeles, Rene Meriste, dear Estonians, dear friends of Estonia. Ma õnnitlen teid kõiki meie armsa Eesti Vabariigi sünnipäeva puhul ja tänan südamest kutse eest olla taas koos teiega õlg õla kõrval siin Los Angeleses nii olulisel pidupäeval Eestile ja eestlastele. I am sincerely happy to be with you today and bring you greetings from your homeland. On February 23rd, 1918, 106 years ago, the Estonian Declaration of Independence, entitled Manifesto to All Peoples of Estonia, was read from the balcony of the Endla Theatre in Pärnu, and the Republic of Estonia was first proclaimed. The next day, in Tallinn, the provisional government took up office under the leadership of the chairman of the Estonian Committee and later president of Estonian, Konstantin Päts. This is why we celebrated the birthday of the Republic of Estonia yesterday, back home, and today here in LA. Our Declaration of Independence states, Eesti, sa seisad lootusrikka tuleviku lävel, kus sa vabalt ja iseseisvalt oma saatust võid määrata ja juhtida. Asu ehitama oma kodu, kus kord ja õiglus valitseks, et olla vääriliseks liikmeks kultuurrahvaste peres. Our country has had quite a difficult history. The first years were pretty hard. Only after the War of Independence ended with Tartu Peace Treaty in 1920 could Estonia enjoy 20 years of peace and independence, making progress in economy as well as culture. But all too soon, in 1939, the Soviet Union forced Estonia into a military basis agreement. This was followed by the hard years of World War II and Soviet occupation, which lasted for nearly half a century. The period was marked by a number of mass repressions, with the largest mass deportations taking place in June 1940 and March 1949. Since the end of 1980s, it became possible to set on a clearer course towards independence, and the Republic of Estonia was restored on August 20, 1991. Ju me lähtusime toona sellest heintsvalgulikust põhimõttest. Ükskord me võidame niikuinii. On väga suur au siin teie ees täna olla ja olla koos professor Rein Taageperaga, kes toona tegi väga suuri tegusid, et Eesti iseseisvus saaks taastatud ja sinimustvalge tagasi Pika Hermanni torni. Now, 106 years later, we are still our own masters. Our home is governed by order and justice. Estonia is full-fledged member of the European Union and NATO. This is a huge benefit as well as privilege. But it also comes with huge responsibility. The fact that we are meeting today on the west coast of America is largely the result of World War II, which caused thousands of people, an estimated 80,000, to flee their homeland in search of safety elsewhere, either in Western Europe or even as far away as America or Australia. 1944 saw the largest wave of refugees. The peak came at the end of September, when thousands fled Estonia to the west. The majority sailed on ships, but very many left a small fishing boats, bravely fighting storms. Many who left never reached their destinations. If the refugees had a motto, it might have been minna ei taha, kuid jääda ei saa. Unwilling to go, but unable to stay. This year will mark the 80th anniversary of this. Very many Estonians have a personal link to this desperate flight. Families were torn apart, their fates unknown, connection to loved ones lost for years. I don't have to go far for examples. These events are also a painful part of my family history. I'm sure you will similar stories from your own families. One day in summer 1944, as my grandfather was returning home from the beach near Jaagupi in Pärnu County, he was passed by a line of lorries on the Pärnu-Riga highway. A girl stood up in one of the lorries and shouted, "Lähen Saksamaale. I'm going to Germany." This girl was my grandfather's elder daughter, who would soon settle in Sweden. Father and daughter continued to live in the same world for another 24 years, but never met again, because the Iron Curtain had come down between the occupied Estonia and rest of the world. Through the storms, in the fall of the same year, another close relative of mine left with his 5 and 5-year-old son on a fishing boat from Hiiumaa to Sweden. They first settled in Norrköping, but emigrated to Vancouver, Canada in 1949. There were also those who left later. After the Soviet takeover Estonia, in 1947, another my aunts left on the fishing vessels Meretuul from Klaipeda to Sweden. Her future husband was a member of the ship crew. They got married in Gothenburg, Sweden, and had their first children, Ain and Marika. In 1958, the family emigrated to the United States, Indianapolis. Most struggled to start a new life, which inspires even higher respect from those who gave every help to the Estonia back home in their difficult times. Many felt insecure in Sweden and preferred to go across the ocean. Homesickness was their companion until their death, which is also reflected in a poem by my aunt. Ma koju jõuan, ei tea, kas täna, homme, kas longates käes kepp ja reisipaun, taas hääde meeste liivarannal valgel, kui lapsepõlves korjan kivilibusid. Mind tervitavad luited pääsusilmad ja valged kajakad mu ümber lendlevad. These 3 stories are the stories of my family. We have an endless number of stories like that. They show how the war has spread our people around the world, and yet we have remained close in the face of all the hardships. We have been brave to build our future and not give up. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we can be happy and proud to have independent Estonia, but we must never take freedom for granted. We must not forget what has been. It is our duty and great honor to be in that of those great women and men who established the Republic of Estonia. Thousands lost their lives, and even more received injuries in the War of Independence. Innumerable homes were destroyed and families torn apart forever. Head sõbrad, samuti ei tohi me unustada neid, kes meie oma riikluse ideaale ka rasketel okupatsiooniaastatel elus hoidsid ja oma südames kandsid, ning ka neid, kes väliseestlastena igapäevaselt selgitasid vabale maailmale, et Eesti on okupeeritud ja meie iseseisvus on vaja taastada. Head inimesed, selle eest ma tänan kõiki meie emasid ja isasid, vanaemasid ja vanaisasid, kes seisid vankumatult kodust eemal ka siin Los Angeleses ja USA's laiemalt iseseisva Eesti eest. Mul on täna olnud mõnega neist au kohtuda, kes 40-ndatel läksid, aga neid inimesi on veel elus, kes põgenesid 40-ndatel. Mul on teile palve, keda siin ei ole, aga kes on kodudes, edastage minu siirast tänu neile kallitele inimestele ja loomulikult teile, kes te täna siin olete. Ma soovin siiralt tänada ka kõiki teid, kelle elutee on toonud siia viimastel aastatel või aastakümnetel. Minu meelest olete just need Eesti saadikud, kes ehitavad USA ja Eesti vahel suhteid. Eesti riigi jaoks on eluliselt olulised tugevad transatlantilised suhted ja ka Eesti nähtavuse suurendamine siin USA's. Aitäh teile! Kuulates Eesti aukonsuli Jaak Treimani kõnet ja öeldud, mis tal plaanis sel aastal, siis ma soovin siiralt tänada selle teekonna eest, mida teie, härra Treiman, olete teinud, et Eesti kogukonda siin hoida, seda sidet Eestiga hoida ja ehitada. Kui mu matemaatika ei peta, siis 38 aastat. Ladies and gentlemen, here in the Los Angeles Estonian house, I feel surrounded by close friends who care about each other. I felt the same in the end of summer 2017, when I had the pleasure of celebrating the West Coast Estonian Days with you. At that time, Estonia held the presidency of the Council of the European Union. The late President Lennart Meri has once said about our country, Eesti riik on loodud selleks, et kesta igavesti ja mitte kuraditki karta. The Estonian state was created to last forever and not fear even devil itself. This is why we need to look far ahead with courage and sense of destination. Head sõbrad, täna siin Eesti sünnipäeva tähistades näeme, et selles maailmapildis on midagi väga valesti. Euroopas käib sõda, kus agressor Venemaa on alustanud täiemahulist sõda 2 aastat tagasi Ukraina pinnal. See on 3. Eesti Vabariigi sünnipäeva pidamine, kui me tõdeme seda, et agressori poolt alustatud sõda käib Ukrainas täiemahuliselt. Aga selle sõja algus viib meid tegelikult tagasi aastasse 2014. Kui me enne kasutasime selliseid sõnu, et see olukord on muret tekitav, see olukord on tõsine, siis nüüd on selleks sõnaks sõda, kus võitlus käib kahe poole vahel, kus üheks arusaamaks on reeglitel põhinev maailmakord, mis toetub rahvusvahelisele õigusele, ja teisalt väärarusaam, et see, kellel on jõud ja soov, see võib rünnata, hävitada, tappa, vägistada, küüditada ja okupeerida. See käitumine on Venemaa muster, mis meile kuidagi ei sobi. Selle vastu peame mitte ainult seisma, vaid ka astuma ja ühiselt tegutsema. Küsimus on selles, kas meie sammud on piisavalt selged, kas need on piisavalt kiired ja julged ja kindlad. Siin vajame väga tugevasti USA toetust. Nii Eesti kui kogu vaba maailma jaoks on ülimalt oluline, ma ütleks lausa fundamentaalne, et Ukraina selle sõja võidab. Selleks vajame kogu NATO, Euroopa Liidu, meiega samameelsete riikide kiiret toetust Ukrainale. Mul oli võimalus Ukrainat külastada 24. märtsil 2022. See oli 1 kuu hiljem, kui täiemahuline sõda oli alanud. Me olime Kiievis ja me kohtusime president Zelenskiga ja ta ütles, et tal on ainult üks soov. Nad vajavad relvi väga kiirelt. Ja minu meelest see soov ei ole viimase 24 kuu jooksul kuidagi muutunud. Ma palun teid, head inimesed siin USA-s, aidata samuti teadvustada ja selgitada, et Ukraina vajab kiiret toetust. Ma tean, et te teete seda. Seda on täna mitmel korral juba maha öeldud. Ma arvan, et siseriiklikud presidendivalimised ei tohi seda toetust Ukrainale varjutada. Ukraina võit on oluline nende suveräänsuse ja territoriaalse terviklikkuse osas. Kuid ma arvan, et see on veel olulisem selles mõttes, et Moskva mõistaks, et 21. sajandil nende jõud ei kehti enam. Vaba ja demokraatlik maailm on pannud seljad kokku ja ta seisab õigluse, rahu ja reeglitel põhineva maailma eest. Last week I was in Brussels, where the NATO Parliamentary Assembly committees had a joint sitting. Discussions were intense because life is complicated times. We live in complicated times. The main focuses were the following. NATO Article 5 is and will remain the cornerstone for our security. NATO member states need to increase their contribution to security. Estonia has honored its commitment of this for years, I think about 10 years, and continues to contribute towards strengthening the defense capability. Defense industries of NATO member states need to be enhanced. Ukraine's future lies in NATO. Allies should not give in the war fatigue, but continue their support. Members of NATO PA stress the need to continue adapting NATO to modern security challenges, and it is crucial for the EU and NATO to cooperate. Dear ladies and gentlemen, my fellow countrymen, I very much value close bilateral relations between the US and Estonia. Transatlantic relations are vital for us because these constitute the cornerstone of our security. Relations between US and Estonia matter to us in politics, economy, traveling, or in personal relations, which is the main thing. I remember very clearly how my good friend René Meriste fought to open an Estonian consulate on the West Coast. When I was the serving Prime Minister, we spared no effort to explain to me how important, impactful, and visible it was to have it here in LA. We did open an Estonian consulate although not here in LA, but in San Francisco. Still, I think it was an important step forward. In light of the economic development, as well as the 2028 Summer Olympics to be hosted by LA, we should seriously consider opening another consulate on the West Coast, here in LA, instead of closing it. I want to assure you that your work in developing our bilateral relations is priceless. I really appreciate all of this. One of Estonians' ambitions is to maintain and develop the Estonian culture around the globe, to make sure that relations remain excellent and become ever closer. It is important for Estonia to cooperate with the Estonian diaspora. I'm impressed by how enthusiastic the Estonians are here and elsewhere in the United States. This enthusiasm is expressed in social and cultural lives through choirs and folk dance groups. I see numerous hobby groups which give children the opportunity to play the same games and sing the same songs as today, as they peers in Estonia and thus stay connected to Estonia. All this is important to keep our language and to keep our culture. You are our cultural and economic ambassadors abroad, helping to open the doors for Estonian businesses and attract investments into Estonia. As a nation that is small in numbers, Estonia highly values the experiences and opportunities of every Estonian. Please know that you all matter to Estonia and that you are always welcome back home. Dear friends, allow me to conclude my speech with some verses from a poem by Hando Runnel, a great Estonian and member of the Academy. The poem is called Punaste õhtute purpur. Mitte häda ja vaev, aga valguse laev tuleb hommikupoolelt. Mitte viha või raev, aga lootuse laev jõuab meieni joonelt. Ilus, ilus, ilus on maa, mida armastan. Since I started with historic and Declaration of Independence, I would also like to conclude by quoting from it. Elagu iseseisev, demokraatiline Eesti Vabariik, elagu rahvaste rahu. Head sõbrad, olgem alati oma isamaa ja esivanemate üle uhked ning hoidkem Eesti riiki ja kaasmaalasi. Soovin kõigile rõõmsameelset Eesti Vabariigi sünnipäeva. Jõudu Eestile!